All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to our October, what's today? 10th meeting of 2023. Thank you all for coming out. Like always, I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, a brief announcement for everybody, effective immediately. Trustee Nuneker, Brant Nuneker has resigned from his position as trustee. I'd like to thank Brant for his many years of service to the village and wish him well in all of his future endeavors. Okay. So with that, thank you, and we're going to move forward to anybody here for public comment. First hand. Just a reminder that public comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Meredith Ferber. I have Roger here with a visual aid for me. So I'm reading from a note because I think it'll keep it more emotionally regulated. Okay, so thank you for your recent attention to safe routes to school. I could not agree more, especially given the events on Wednesday morning, September 28th. Had there been a dedicated bike lane and a crosswalk, my son would have been able to cross the street safely and not had to navigate the busy road that is made all the more confusing by the intersection at South and Parsonage, featuring a blinking light, no crosswalks, and a two-way stop. I have been asking for more crosswalks for over 10 years, but was always given a bureaucratic response as to why it cannot be done. Studies, funds, village versus town. But now there have been 2 accidents. Pathways have been discovered. Money may be accessible. It must be divine timing. When I came upon the scene that morning, I ran to my son, who was lying in the grass. I saw only his legs and boots, not knowing what I would see. And when I looked down, I saw his eyes, fear-filled and bloody, and his hands and face swollen and cut. He looked up at me and he said 2 words. He said, "I'm sorry." And all I thought at that moment was, "You're sorry." Not the people who have not put in crosswalks or bike lanes for over 10 years. But you're sorry. You're apologizing to me. You're apologizing to our rescue team who came to take care of you. And that to me is a travesty. Gary, I'm sure you remember campaigning at my door and me bringing it up. I'm sure most of you who have come to my door remember me mentioning it. I now worry every day as he walks to school because he's too nervous to ride his bike. He's a 15-year-old boy living in a small village, afraid to ride his bike because he is suffering PTSD. We have been asked to stop chaperoning our children to school in cars and have them walk or bike to alleviate traffic congestion, but I, for one, am not comfortable with my son walking to school or riding his bike because I cannot get the image of him lying on the ground bloody and disoriented out of my mind. I pray that no other parent will have to experience what I did that morning. I don't care if Rhinebeck is on the top 10 places to visit list in 2024 or 2025. I care that our children and our pedestrians are safe. It is unfortunate that it has taken this long for this topic to be considered worthy. I will personally do everything in my power to make sure that you see it through and that you do right by our children. I'd also like to know who we can contact to accelerate the needed DOT study. That is 10 years too late. What can our state Democrat reps Hinchy and Shredda do? Thank you.
Thank you. Eleanor, I saw your hand next.
Eleanor Pupko, Village Green. At the September 26th Village Board meeting, I expressed concern that major traffic issues at Village Green Apartments were not addressed in the Route 9 Complete Street study, that we had once again been forgotten. The mayor dismissed my comments with a wave of hand as if I hadn't read the study. So I went back and I reread the study, and I am correct. There's nothing in that study about the speed of traffic, the difficulty of making left turns in and out of Village Green, and the danger for bicyclists. Of course, nothing remotely addresses student safety. In fact, as I was coming here to this meeting, I met a very young child riding his bike down the sidewalk, which I completely applauded because at least he was fairly safe there. The only mention of Village Green is to ladder a crosswalk across the exit, not a particularly useful recommendation since cars will have to edge into the crosswalk anyway in order to see traffic coming down Route 9 or up or down. All right, that's one issue. The second issue concerns the Dutchess County Fair. It came to my attention that Brantley Gilbert performed at the Dutchess County Fair this summer. I assume it's the same transphobic Brantley Gilbert who smashed a can of Bud Light onto the stage at a concert saying, and I quote, okay, "Fuck that." He's also quoted as explaining that he took a Confederate flag away from someone at a concert because the flag was being disrespected, and I'm talking about the Confederate flag. Alarmed, I emailed the Fair Association, CC'd the mayor, and never received a reply, much less a commitment to better vet future performances. The excuse is that this is a private enterprise and that no Confederate flags were flown at the concert does not cut it for several reasons. First of all, they're under special New York State grant. They pay no property taxes and therefore are subsidized by the Rhinebeck landowners and renters who do pay property taxes. This is supposedly a Dutchess County fair, so everyone in the county should feel welcome going there. Also, the village of Rhinebeck acts as an intermediary that allows the fair to hire policing. And finally, hate speech should not be tolerated anywhere, regardless of where it takes place. So this is not strictly a private entity, really. It's a little more complicated than saying it's just private. This was not the first time I took issue with one of their shows, but it was clearly the most egregious. I urge the village board to take a leadership role in ensuring that everyone can feel comfortable when attending the fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Frank Stoppenbach. I'm a resident of Red Hook, but I was involved in an incident at the Rhinebeck Farmers Market. It was reported widely in the media, and I thought it would be helpful to describe accurately what happened, since it was suggested the village board would be taking some action as a result. This started a couple months ago when I was doing a petition to get debates among Democratic Party presidential candidates. I just set out a little tea table with a petition next to my car, and the Rhinebeck Democrats called the police on me. Apparently having a table is not a good thing, so I folded up the table, but continued the petition work. This went on for a couple of weeks, and on August 6th, as I'm doing this, the Rhinebeck Democrats placed a large easel blocking my signs. I don't know why. They had called the police, claiming that they owned the space next to my car as well as theirs. But I took no action. I just let it go. Somebody waiting to get in the farmer's market thought this was unfair and turned their sign, on the easel blocking mine, so it was just blank. The Rhinebeck Dems came and corrected that. Eventually, they realized they were alienating people, and they moved the blocking sign from my car. That is the whole story. I don't think it deserved calling the police or having a big deal in the media. The media reported this very differently from the way I've just described it, which is accurate, and used a lot of, I guess, unfriendly terms is the kindest word I can use. One man who claimed to be a political leader, I was doing this, by the way, because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was denied the ability to debate as a candidate. One man, claiming to be a leader, basically said that Mr. Kennedy was abhorrent. This is what third graders do in political discourse. And the reason I showed up at the farmer's market all those days, I was a businessman at IBM. And we were able to reason things out calmly, without name calling. And that's the kind of discourse I would like to see. And frankly, I'd rather be home gardening and doing petition work at the farmer's market. Thank you.
Thank you. Marie?
Thank you. My name is Marie Trombini. I live on Prospect Street, and I wanted to make a sort of public service announcement. It turns out that the mayor and his code enforcement officer have decided to suspend the requirement in section 38.3 of the yard waste code that states grass clippings are prohibited in all cleanup periods, and that all material placed in front of the property for pickup shall be generated from that property. No other debris from any other source shall be included. For the past 2-3 years or so, residents of Prospect Street have taken their yard waste, their leaves, branches, twigs, walnuts, grass clippings, you name it, from Prospect Street to the public grass easement on West Chestnut Street. I'm sure there are times, especially with the weather we've experienced this year, with the abundance of ticks, mosquitoes, wind, rain, and etc., that many of us have spent time mowing our lawns, raking up the leaves and collecting the fallen branches and other yard waste, only to find that the next day the wind has scattered them and we have to rake them up again. This suspension of the code requirement that grass clippings are prohibited and that all material placed in front of the property for pickup shall be generated from that property eliminates this extra work. And I wanted to pass this along to all village residents in case they were unaware. So it seems you can rake your leaves, collect your branches and walnuts, whatever, and take it all to another street, and that is the last you have to deal with the yard waste, which I think for some senior citizens, that's a great deal. On a second matter, I noticed on the website that hydrant flushing is going to take place, and with the re-landscaping of Prospect Street, my turn-off valves have been covered under asphalt and small pea stones. And I'm wondering, when you do the flushing, maybe you could relocate those, find them, stick a marker back in it that used to be there, something. So in case I ever have an issue, I know where to go for my turn-off water valves. And the last thing I have is June 15th, I went to a zoning board of appeals meeting, and we have been unable since June 15th to get those meeting minutes ratified. It turns out that Emily Svensson, the attorney, apparently is trying to figure out the correct wording to use in those minutes in order to get them then approved by the zoning board of appeals. I think waiting since June 15th is a really long time. We don't have any objection to what the acting chairwoman said in the meeting. We're willing to follow her recommendation for the zoning board of appeals, and we're ready to go to court and sue the village, but we can't get these meeting minutes. So I don't know if this board has any influence on the ZBA, or the Emily Svensson, this attorney, but it would be really nice if we could get those minutes approved. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Roger.
Hi, Roger Kwan, village resident on Rockefeller Way. Just wanted to remind the board, and I'm sure you well know, the Civic Engagement Subcommittee of the CPC that ran workshops and solicited nearly 1,500 comments from 150 people and roundtables indicated the #1 interest was safe walking paths and streets. We have a climate smart committee. I was wondering if the village board has entertained any idea of having a safe walk or smart walk committee as well.
Not presently. Eric,
Am I allowed to ask a question?
you're not immune.
Eric Steinman, village resident.
You might not answer it.
You don't have to answer it. I just have to ask it. With the news of Brant Nunicker's departure, will there be another trustee appointed?
TBD, don't know.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you all for your comments. Definitely appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to move on. Nothing. You have a presenter for the business.
Yes, we do. So this evening, I'd like to welcome Catherine Klepper, who is a member of the Climate Smart Task Force, specifically has been a very, very helpful collaborator on our compost project. And this spring, we sent Catherine up to an annual organics summit. This is held just once a year in New York State. And it was an opportunity for Catherine to go as our emissary and bring back learnings about composting and to network and to build relationships with other composting professionals and other folks in the scene. So Catherine's going to give a presentation about what she learned at this conference. Thank you.
Hi everyone. As Vanessa mentioned, my name is Catherine Killefer. I'm on the Compost Volunteer Committee, and I was sent by the Village Board to the New York Organics Summit back in March. There have been a few things that have changed with the compost program, so we held off on doing this presentation until now. And I'm due with my first baby in a few weeks, so it had to be done now since we're running out of time. So a little bit about me. I've been a village resident and a member of the Compost Committee since 2021. I'm a graphic designer in the city, and I'm an outdoor enthusiast and gardener, so this was a really exciting opportunity to go and learn more about composting at a large scale level and see what everyone is doing across the state. I considered myself pretty well informed and was very surprised by how much there really is to learn. So the summit, it's an annual conference that takes place in different cities every year. This year it took place in Syracuse. There were 190 attendees. I think it's been going on for about 5 years now, and they continue to grow at least 30% attendance every year. So this really shows us that composting is becoming a bigger and bigger topic and business opportunity. It was 2 days of lectures and workshops, including student research projects and a number of service professionals booths. And ultimately, one of the main reasons I went was to see a live tour of the Onondaga County Resource Recovery Agency, also known as OCRA, which is the largest compost facility in the state. And it was, the whole conference was hosted by New York State Association for Reduction, Reuse, and Recycling. They're an amazing online resource. If anyone is interested in this topic, I highly recommend looking NYSAR up. So, as Vanessa mentioned, our goal was threefold. I wanted to network with people across the state, learn best practices for creating a municipal program, and discuss creative solutions for the current needs that we were having with the village of Rhinebeck. The main takeaway was that I learned a lot. It was really quite shocking to see New York is such a diverse state, and because we don't have any state-down initiatives currently, everyone is doing this completely differently. So New York City has municipal compost programs that are processing thousands of tons of compost that they've been doing for 10, 15 years. And then the northernmost rural counties in New York State, we're doing all kinds of initiatives, from getting solar bins for people to use in their backyards, to building their own facilities at farmers markets. So it's sort of in a time period of everyone's innovating and figuring out what will work best just to get the needle moving. Here are some of my notes. I met a number of useful contacts. These included people who offered technical solutions, additional connections for us in the area, expert advice, and tours of the facilities that the compost committee has been able to take people up on. I know now that we have an approved proposal to work with LRC Farm. One of the consultants that we're hoping to work with is a connection from this conference. So it has been very fruitful. We also got concrete recommendations for operational problems that we've been trying to anticipate as a committee that's never run our own compost facility before. Now that we're partnering with LRC Farm, the farm will be managing that obviously, but this knowledge was incredibly helpful to disseminate and just internalize as we work on this problem. Here are some of the many questions I had for people. It's for how simple the idea of turning food waste into dirt compost is, that's millions of years old. It is kind of complicated to figure out how to put that all together. So talked with a lot of amazing people. And then the most valuable thing was that I was able to tour Okra, the largest compost facility in the state. Here's a picture of one of their employees in front of their finished compost, one of many piles. And before we dive into sort of this tour, I'll point out again that Okra is the largest facility in New York State. For reference, they process 6,000 tons of food scraps annually. The proposed Rhinebeck Village project will process about 100 tons annually. So for those of you who are more visual, this is a very, very small comparison to the pictures that you'll be seeing. But the idea is the same. They use an aerated static pile system, which you will see in large scale here, and we hope to employ on the farm. So even with deep knowledge of composting, it was still incredibly informative to put it all together and see in person. What happens at Okra is food scraps from Syracuse University and a number of other businesses and residents are dropped off, and they become full compost in just 90 days, which is really pretty amazing. And that's turned around and sold to landscapers and farms across the state. I'll just play this video for you so you can see this is one of a row of static piles. And these grates at the bottom are pushing air up into it. And you can see that there's steam coming off of it because of how hot it is. So the way composting really works in this system is the food scraps are mixed with browns and buried underneath, and the heat and the pressure over the course of 3 months turns that into compost. So here are sort of all the rows of these active piles at work. So for most of you that aren't necessarily interested in working at a compost municipal facility, people are probably most concerned about what about pests, what about noise, what about the smell. So that was one of my main jobs, going there to figure out. Interestingly enough, I didn't see any pests. I was looking for mice, bugs, anything, especially you can see this is a picture of a whole very large facility, and that pests are not a problem. The management said as long as you operate correctly and that the food scraps arrive and they're very quickly mixed in with browns like coffee grounds or leaves, it prevents that from becoming a festering garbage pit. The smell, as someone who was 3 months pregnant at the time, I can accurately attest to, the smell was nowhere near what I was expecting, being in this huge open space where food scraps are dumped. Again, they're mixed almost immediately with browns. which prevents smells from building up. And then finally, the noise. Again, this facility is quite large, but even still, I was very surprised that there was very minimal noise. There are sorting machines that use large screeners to take the finished compost through to screen out rocks or bigger chunks. When those are running, those can be loud, but they only run for a few minutes at a time. They don't run all day. This video just shows panning, and that's one of the screeners. And you can hear there's really not very much noise. I mean, it's a little bit difficult watching the video. And then this is the area behind the aerated static piles where they have blowers that are blowing into those pipes I showed you. They sound about the volume of a hairdryer. So obviously if you're standing right next to them, they can be loud, like if you're in the same bathroom with someone blow drying their hair, but if you step back 10 feet, you're really not going to hear them, and they don't all run at the same time. So yet another thing that was not really a concern once I was able to see it up close. And the big takeaway was they gave us all a bag of compost, which is just a good reminder of, you know, this has been a long, years-long process, but why we're doing this is because it's taking a very concrete problem we have with food waste and turning it into something that's valuable that people will actually pay money for. So unlike many of the problems with the climate crisis today, composting our food waste is a very clear and simple solution that I'm excited the village is moving ahead with. Just in conclusion, some things to keep in mind for the board. Compost is definitely the way of the future for New York State and beyond. There are a number of laws in process that will be passed in the next few years requiring municipalities to do more with their food waste. There were also a number of panels about the business viability of compost and how lots of companies have sprung up, particularly from farms as an additional revenue stream for farmers. And I'll just end by pointing out this student research project that was really interesting that showed they use different amounts of compost mixed with soil for their plants. And you can see that not only does compost solve a problem for us, it really helps grow better food, grow better plants in every single way. So yeah, I hope this educated the village board, and I will just say, as the first volunteer to go attend something representing the village board, I think it was a really successful initiative, and I hope you'll keep it in mind for future volunteers. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Elmer?
I was curious, do they have a way to screen out, like say somebody has a big to-do and they throw food scraps in the garbage, but somebody's always going to put in plastic forks or something. They have a way to...
Yes, that's part of what the screeners are for. It's sort of a tumbler that uses, I think, a magnet that can pull out metals, and I think there was some sort of like vacuum suction that pulled lighter things like bioplastics, plastic bags, things like that. So they do actively sort for that. And one of the things I learned was that most facilities don't accept those bioplastic bags. They're still sort of a long way off from really breaking down successfully, and often cause more of a headache than they're worth.
Roger?
So you mentioned that the lottery's facility was 6,000 tons, and ours is 100. What is a typical size?
I guess I don't know what a typical size is, but there are three levels of compost facilities. Vanessa, maybe you can speak to this a little bit more.
Yeah, the DEC, Division of Materials Management, basically like regulates composting in New York State. And so that facility that Catherine showed is a permitted facility. Over a certain threshold is that you have to have more oversight by the DEC. And then that middle range is what you call registered which is the Ellerslie stable that they got the DEC registration. And then below that, it's just, it's like the community gardens, for instance, where it's more like a smaller scale.
And it doesn't have any regulation, like people doing that in their backyard or for their school or whatever. So I think this facility was permitted to go up to 10,000 tons annually. They currently do about 6,000. I'm not sure how that compares to, you know, the largest facility in the US, but I would imagine it's closer to that than most operations, if that makes sense.
So there are other communities that have 100-ton operations, or?
Oh, yes, I'd say most facilities are operating at a much smaller scale, like what we'll be doing.
Yeah, I don't think those ginormous facilities are that common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's a community of other towns or villages that have 100 tons of.
Oh, yes, and we've connected with them, yes, yes. Now I can't remember, because I can't remember anything right now, what the names of those other towns are, but we have been put in touch with a few, we have gotten in touch with a few other towns that are operating at the size we'll be operating at, hopefully.
One question. The sales, is it only to commercial operations, or can local residents come by and take compost?
For Okra, you sort of pay a subscription model to drop off, and then as part of that, you get finished compost at the end of the season. But I think that only accounts for like 5% of their business. The vast majority of it is sold to landscapers and farmers.
Could we just get a brief update on where we stand with the Ellerslie Stables project?
Oh,
So,
sure, yeah, I can.
Do you want to wait till we do this in the normal meeting, because we're going to be discussing it?
Oh, is it going to be
Well-
discussed tonight?
Yeah.
It is on the agenda tonight.
Okay, I can wait.
If you don't mind,
I don't mind.
Okay,
it's up to you, Vanessa.
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good job.
Yeah.
Boy or girl?
Oh, it's a surprise.
Hey! Okay, next.
It takes longer to birth a composting program than to gestate a human.
From the government.
Okay, so next is the treasury report.
Okay, treasurer's report is for the period ending September 30th. The general fund ended the month with $99,758.64. The water fund ended the month with $29,005.74. And the sewer fund ended the month with $115,993.76. In our 3 New York class accounts together, we earned a little over $11,000 in interest for the month. Vouchers presented for payment in the general fund total $153,846.21. In the water fund, $59,271.21. In the sewer fund, $33,902.03. Escrow bills total $7,437.16. And we had one bill in the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project for $2,125.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the amendments for the
Or to pay the bills.
pay the bills. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the monthly operating statement is provided for the revenue and expenditures through October 10th. The water and sewer, October monthly bills were sent out at $55,945.37. Those are due on October 25th. The October quarterly bills were sent out at $264,577, and those will be due November 25th. The billing and adjustments, as signed off by Mayor Bassett, are on file and presented for approval.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the billing adjustments.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, they're together.
How's it going, by the way, with the quarterly billing?
That,
Good.
I'm glad you asked, because I know, catching you off guard because you're not prepared for this, but a brief update of some of the issues we're seeing and how we're resolving the issues, because I think people need to be aware that we are in a new program and we are still working out some of the details. And
Yes.
you and Chrissy are doing a fantastic job.
there have been some challenges. It's getting a lot better. Some of the challenges were that not all of the meters are the same. They're not all Neptune meters. We have some Census and some Baxter meters, so they have different rules than the Nexus meters, so we have to have a different multiplier in the billing process. We're coming across some, meters that were like 1-inch meters, but they were billed at 3/4 inch. So we're finding a lot of things that just by going through all the meters that we're looking for. But we've been working with the residents and I think trying to handle all of those and kind of get it to where the system is doing it on its own and there's less like intervention or having to deal with those problems.
And a question we get often is about people who want to pay online.
So we have, so paying online is different than e-billing. The e-billing means that your bill comes to your email, and I think we have almost 300 out of the 1,700, so we're on a good track with that. People that want to pay online, you could either go into MuniLink and set up your own user and password and monitor your own usage, or come in and check with Chrissy, and Chrissy would be happy to help you get set up. Well, she'll help you get set up. She is.
She does a great job.
Yeah, she does it.
Because we get this question, the reason I'm bringing it, because this question comes up often, right? And so our staff here, both Karen and Chrissy, are there to be able to help you through that process.
So what happens is when people sign up for e-bill, they think that they're signing up for their online payment. But there's just more of a process to go in and sign up for the online payment. And like I said, Chrissy's just much better at it than I am because she's helped a lot of people get signed up for it.
How does one sign up for e-billing?
You call Chrissy.
Very good.
No, you can go on, you can check on the website also. The website has the link to MuniLink. So you can go through the steps that way. You can do it on your own if you like.
And it's on your bill.
And it's on your bill, yes.
Look at your bill.
Yep.
Paid it, I just looked at the bottom line, I paid it and I sent it off.
Might have to read it.
So, Karen, I'm sorry, I don't want 1,000 questions. Just to so everybody in the public can be aware. One of the complaints we get is that there's a fee, right? You can avoid that fee, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, if you set up payment through your bank. Is that correct?
Right, there's two different ways. The one way is to go into the system itself and set up your online payment and put in your routing number, credit card number, however you want to do it. And yes, there is a $5 convenience fee, but that is a third-party fee. That is not the village. We do not get any part of that fee. It's strictly because we also don't keep anybody's information. So that's kind of a protection for them. And then if you do go to your bank and still want to have a direct payment from your bank, then I think it's 25 cents to charge for that.
Right.
That's per transaction?
Yes.
So I don't want to discourage anybody because we love everybody coming into the office and greeting us and us to greet with them and work with them, to pay their bills. It's been kind of a tradition that's gone on for a long time. But if you don't, there are other avenues now to be able to pay your billing through our billing system that we've been able to implement. So.
And then just another announcement that they're flushing hydrants now.
Right. I think we heard from Ms. Strombini,
Yes.
you know, to make sure. Yes. All right, thank you, Karen.
But I do have a few budget amendments.
Oh,
So, so again, I don't want to get too far ahead in the agenda, but my budget amendments will consist of the increasing the police equipment line by $96,158, of which $85,000 is a grant, and $11,158 will be funded through fund balance. Also, increasing the police equipment budget by $5,473 for a new front door, which will come out of contingency. I have two more, one in the zoning, the 8104 for zoning for $7,305, and one in planning for $7,305 to come out of contingency. And that is for large document scanning in the ZBA and the planning board.
so I'd like to make a motion to accept.
Second.
Discussion, just for clarity for everybody. So we applied, and it'll come up later, we applied for a grant through our New York State Senator, Senator Michelle Hinchy's office, to get Meridian barricades, which we've been renting for events. And through Senator Hinchy's office, they approved us for a grant for $85,000 to purchase the equivalent of what do you call it, a trailer of Meridian barricades which we can use. And we tried to use kind of an average event to use these. Years ago, we had purchased water barricades. We're still using the water barricades, but these become more, I would say they're just better. The barricades were not foolproof if somebody wanted to try to drive through them. These Meridian barricades, which we've demoed and used now on several events, will actually stop any vehicle coming through. So like in events which we're coming up with Cinder Claws, they become very, very useful for us to be able to have. So it's a safety feature. So that, you know, the $85,000, we're very happy. There's other agencies that are working to get those. Dutchess County is looking to get the same thing. Ulster, Kingston already has some, and these systems can all be integrated. So if there is a large-scale event, we can all work together, which is the goal, to be able to work together and share these amongst everybody. So that's for that purchase, to be very explicit on where we're using the additional money. And that money is because we ran into a transportation cost, right, for the Meridian barricades.
Oh, all right, that makes sense. That's a reimbursement grant, so we have to pay up front for it?
So we pay up front, but
Yes.
4 to 6, it's a 4-week turnaround. We are not going to purchase them until we get the go-ahead from our New York State office that they are approved, which is DASNY. When DASNY says we're good to go, we can purchase, and then while we're waiting for the purchase, the payment will come through as well. So it's a very quick turnaround.
Question about contingency. It's only October. The contingency is at 8,400 if we approve all this. Are we concerned that that's, I mean, we do have a strong fund balance and we need to stay within our policy, we need to spend down the fund balance a little bit, so we could do a transfer from fund balance to contingency.
Exactly.
You
got it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that would be my explanation as well. I'm
Okay.
more comfortable with using the contingency and kind of balancing it out.
Okay.
I just did these purchases through contingency, and then anything kind of bigger that, like the board wants to, at the end of the year, we'll keep a list of what we use fund balance for.
Okay.
And we'll talk more about the front door for the police department in a minute.
So should we approve this?
We can approve the
Dependent-
budget amendments, but we can always go back. So we have a first and a second.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
More?
That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next on the agenda is the purchase of the front door for our police department. We've had an ongoing issue with not being able to lock the front door into the police department. Over the years,
Seems problematic.
over the years with weathering and the door, if you talk to Sergeant Dunn, it actually was the wrong door that was installed to begin with, but it's become very problematic, and the door will not automatically close anymore without actually somebody there making sure that the door gets closed and pushes it. We've been working diligently to try to find a reasonable quote. We've had quotes as much as $13,000 to replace that front door, and we rejected those quotes and started working through other local contractors to be able to do that. So what we have today is a quote for basically everything that we want for $5,472.73 to replace the front door on our police department. So I'd like to make a motion to accept that quote to replace that door.
With what company? From who?
I'm sorry, you're right, it's from Hudson Valley Door. Hudson Valley Door and Hardware. Thank you.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. So carried. Okay. Next on our agenda, so I think everybody noticed the construction outside, right? Anybody who's not aware, we've been under a project to replace our water mains and improve drainage, and then eventually mill and pave Center Street, both Center Street on the south and Center Street on the north, and that was covered under one grant. We actually have another grant that was put in at the same time and accepted, which is the MIG grant, to improve the sidewalks around Village Hall, improve the aprons coming up to Village Hall, improve the apron onto the police station, and also put in ADA compliant ramps at the intersection of Center Street and East Market Street. We went out for bid, I don't know, 2 months ago, a while ago. And we received 2 bids, one from Peter Luzzi Brothers Contracting for total, including all of the alternatives, doing all of it, for $319,920. We have another bid from Contech Construction Technology for $317,350. And the reason why I'm bringing this up in terms of reference to the other contract is because we would like to mill and pave all of Center Street and get that done before the paving plants close. But we are now at the place where they finished all of their work, and we're in, quote, the 90-day waiting period for settling to occur into the trenches that we've done, and we will not be able to, may not be able to make the closure of the plants depending on weather.
Right.
When we reviewed the bids, our engineering firm, Ty and Bond, went back out, and they are recommending, after going through, recommending Contech Construction. And the initial discussion with Contech for everybody here is that they may be able to come through within the next month and start doing all of this work. And the priority would be to do the curb stops, so that way when we do the curb stops, we cut out the area around, I'll back up. ADA compliant curb stops means you're replacing the existing curbs that exist on the 4 corners. You're replacing them with ADA compliant strips, which include the ramp, the tactile strips, and drainage. And to do that, you have to cut away the existing roadway to be able to do that. We do not want to mill and pave for this project and then wait and then cut the road that we just milled and paved to do the next project. So we're working very closely with all of them to try to work those details out. There is a possibility that we may be able to do this year, depending on the closure of the plants, but there's another possibility that we will not. All right. One of the reasons
it's already mid-October, so
it's mid-October.
90 days.
yeah.
And they compacted our trenches in a very, and engineering is pretty satisfied that with the compacting that was done, that we could go ahead and mill and pave if we can get this contractor to line up. And that's if. I'm going to repeat that. That's if we can get this contractor to line up. So anyways, Contact Construction Technology has been recommended by our engineer, Ty and Bond, as the recommended bidder to go forward with this project. And we're hoping that we can work with them in phases to be able to do the curb stops immediately and then work on the ramps and everything else, and the sidewalk filling, cutting it down. So I'd like to make a recommendation that we accept the bid from Contact Construction Technology for including all the alternatives, which is including the curb ramps, the municipal parking lot sidewalk improvements, and the fire department sidewalk improvements, for a total of $317,350.
Second.
Discussion.
Where does this line up with the amount of money that we got from the grant?
So we have $150,000 dedicated from the grant process to pay for this.
Okay.
The rest that we had set aside as part of our process for when we went through the budget to pay for this.
Okay, so this is still all coming out of that cash from everything that we've kind of cobbled
It's
together?
a funded project.
Yeah, okay. So we're not over our estimate at this
No,
point?
if you look at both projects, we're still under estimate for both projects.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Miraculous. So $317,000 for like 100 feet of sidewalk?
I didn't add up
And
the
the
linear.
special
I didn't-
curb ramps.
yeah,
And the
it's-
special curb ramps?
Yeah, but it's more than just sidewalks. On the village side here, we're putting in 88 pull-offs. You know
Right.
where our sign is right now?
Yeah.
That sign is going to be pulled in. There's going to be an 88 parking spot there
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
So there's going to be curbs associated with doing that.
Right,
Right.
those angled down so that people don't have to go up,
And
yeah.
there'll be a ramp there.
Yeah.
And there'll also be the ramp into Village Hall and the ramp into the police department, the fire department, which
Right.
is not ADA today.
Right.
And significantly, it's the apron across the fire department.
That's, yeah.
That's pretty, it's not the
Yeah.
full apron, just so everybody's understanding. We're not doing everything from the street to the doors.
No,
We're
it's
doing-
just, yeah, because it's like, it's gonna look like a sidewalk that's crossing the
Correct.
driveway, not a
But-
driveway that's crossing the sidewalk.
But that's a heavy-duty sidewalk.
Right, 'cause
Just so
it's
you're
not-
aware.
Sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not your standard sidewalk that we're putting in there
Okay.
because of the weight, because of the weight of the
Because of the way
truck.
it's trucked.
Right.
Okay, I just,
So I think, I see where you're going, but I just want to make sure that, yes, sidewalks are expensive, but
right,
there's a lot of additional work associated here.
okay, so this is an outlier, perhaps?
It's unique, it's a special bid, yes.
Right, yeah, but like, if we're just talking about a normal residential sidewalk, this is not a great example of how much a normal residential
Correct.
sidewalk would
It is
cost.
not.
Do not use this as a guide.
Okay, just, just so that we all are on the same page.
Absolutely. No, I understand. You know, we're spending money.
So we do this project, and then the sequencing is, then we can mill and pay it
Yes,
after.
correct. And now the timing of mill and pay will vary depending on when we can do this project and when the contractor can mobilize to be able to do the things that we need to do.
Are they planning to do all three alternatives this winter, or are they going to do one and then come back and do 2 and 3 in the spring?
Don't know yet, we haven't
Right.
awarded the bid.
Okay.
We have to bid, if we approve, the bid award letter will go out tomorrow, and then we can start those discussions. Right. Good question, but
TBD.
I can't answer them.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
But we have to do this before we mill and pave.
It's recommended that we do it before we mill
So
and pave. We don't
nobody's there.
have to.
Right, okay.
You can cut the new pavement,
Oh, yeah, that's silly. Okay,
right, that we just would have just put in to do the curb stops and everything else, but
right.
If we miss the window because winter weather, for those who live on Center Street, when might be the latest that their road would be redone?
it'll be in the spring.
Okay.
Actually, the contractor is on a 120-day schedule, right? So that 120-day schedule doesn't include the things to shut down, but the contractor that's doing the work on Center Street has a very defined delivery schedule. So they will have to meet that.
Can I just ask you to repeat the name of the contracting firm that the 370?
Contech,
Contech?
C-O-N-T-E-C-H, Construction Technology, Inc.
Okay, thank you.
Their bid is on the cloud.
Right, you can reference all this material. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor to accept the bid from Contech Construction, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Lydia? I didn't hear you.
Oh, aye.
Okay. All right. Vanessa?
Great, so we had the special meeting on the 26th to talk about the Transportation Alternatives Program funding, TAP, for our proposed Safe Routes to School project that Rick and I have been working on. And as we were anticipating, that grant has opened up. So this is a bit of a different process than other grants where you apply for it in a more straightforward manner. In this instance, you have to put out what you call an RFQ, a request for qualifications, and then you send that out to a specialized list of qualified firms. That's about a dozen, 15?
15, I think, 15.
And from that list of firms, hopefully you get a bite, someone who wants to work with you on developing the proposal and the application. So what we're doing tonight is we'd like for the board to vote to approve for us to publish our RFQ. And we would like, we have a resolution here, but basically we want the RFQ to be live with a deadline of October 27th.
And just the process here is with the RFQ, basically ask the firms to come in, say if they're interested in doing the project, that we would then have to agree upon a price, and if we want to go forward. This firm would be with us from the beginning to the end of the project. That's part of the terms of using this 15 firm list. So we're basically putting out the request. If anybody's interested, you come in and for us create, we can agree upon a price, create an application to the TAP program for us at their cost. So.
Right, and then if we get the grant, then then we are basically agreeing to work with them on the project.
Okay.
But first, we have to accept their bid, accept their offer.
Correct.
We have to accept that and then
Correct.
worry about getting the grant.
Yeah.
Right, we'd have to see get them in, get their proposal, agree to work with them, get the grant right up, get the grant, and then we're...
Is October 27th enough time? I don't know what the window is right now.
So Rick and I did some research where we were looking at other examples of other municipalities that have done this, and that was what we saw was within range.
The windows for the application for the TAP grant itself are very narrow.
Right.
Yeah, they just
And they
announced
have,
it. but-
I mean, they have just announced it, and they've got like a month for you to get in some initial paperwork. And when we looked at other municipalities, they gave 2 weeks for these firms to come back. And basically, this is really to show their qualifications and their interest.
So it's not the design.
It's not the design, this is for us to evaluate the firm to see if we want to go forward with
So
the
that's
firm.
important to know, that it's not the design.
It's not the design, this is just to evaluate the firms themselves.
I don't know if it makes a difference, but you already have bids due on that same day for biosolids.
That's okay.
It's It'll be a big day.
So my only other comment, I know we're on discussion, is this is the boilerplate
Thank you.
that I saw out there, the RFQ. It doesn't include the language that we normally put out as part of the legalese on the bottom from our attorney.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really cool with this, but we need to get our legal to add the boilerplate language with it.
Okay, can we then maybe make a motion that the board approve this
Pending legal comments.
pending
Right.
legal?
Absolutely.
And so just to be clear, the state actually provides you with a template letter.
Yeah, which is this.
Which you then modify and use for your own situation, which is what we've done.
So make the motion.
I already got it.
All right.
She did, I got it.
You got it? Do I have a second?
Second,
Is that boilerplate for the resolution itself or for the actual RFQ?
the RFQ.
Okay, so we'll get together to,
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Additional legal language. Okay.
So I think, but make the motion pending legal.
Yes, make a motion for the board to approve the RFQ pending legal kind of.
Seconded.
Great.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Federal funding.
Okay, let's talk about composting.
Okay,
I'm sensing a theme.
yeah. So, last meeting, we accepted the proposal from Ellerslie Stable to be our composting subcontractor. And we have been approved by the DEC to proceed with our revised plan. So, in other words, the DEC, which gave us a $200,000 grant, is okay with us, instead of building the highway department site, to use that money at the farm location at Ellerslie Stable. And so tonight, I'd like to propose that Gary go ahead and sign the contract with the DEC for that $200,000 grant. This does not, signing this contract does not mean that we need to immediately start spending money. In fact, there is one more step, which is the DEC and the state signing the contract on their end and then giving us a notice to proceed. And I did put together a quick plan that you can see on the cloud with a little bit more detail about how this grant would work. So it is a reimbursement grant. So once we have our notice to proceed, we could start making, we could start the project and paying for elements of that project. Then it's up to us. We can submit vouchers for reimbursement immediately, and it's a 4 to 6 week turnaround, they said. So basically what I'm saying is we don't have to front the money and have the project all completed in order to get reimbursed. We can kind of get reimbursed as we go.
It's reassuring.
Yeah, so the question is over how long, because we could be still exposed to having spent out over a 4 to 6 week period if the project was really running full, or a 4 to 6 week period to have spent $185,000.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to be able to maybe pace these
Yes.
so that Karen has the ability to manage the funding.
I also wanted to note that the other grants are, that the block grants and the mid grants and the sidewalk grants are also reimbursable. You know?
Right.
So we could have a lot outstanding at one time.
So we're worried about cash flow
So that would
to
be
be able to make
stressful.
all this work.
Yeah. I think that the amounts that we're talking about are, I know they add up when you're stacking them with the other projects that we have going on as a village, but, you know, we can discuss and time those so that
Okay.
you're comfortable with it.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I think we'll get a better time on the sidewalk one, and then we'll kind of sit down and go, okay, this is what we have going on at one time.
Because typically, we don't receive the funding from the county until the end, right?
No, you
Are we
can do
getting
it as we
payments?
go. Like, I already submitted for the equipment,
Okay,
so I'm expecting that back in, and then the 79,000 for the sidewalks, I'm just waiting for this piece of it, so
okay.
I'm not sure what their requirement is, if it's done, or if we've spent 79, can we go ahead and ask for
So we just
reimbursement?
need to stay in like tight communication about
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
so I was gonna say, Karen, we're gonna depend on you to tell us on invoices if we get them, before we pay them, to make sure that have a clear line of sight.
It's a little bit of
Right.
air
Before we
traffic
get
control.
Yeah, ideally before we get them even.
Yeah, not before we even, yeah, oh, I will, okay.
Okay. That was my only concern,
Yeah.
cash flow.
Yep, me too.
What is our,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I think what we learned from the TAP grant is that a lot of people receive invoices for work to be done, and they put them in immediately. from reimbursement, and then the funding process goes along, and then the cash comes
It
in.
can't, because I have
Right.
to submit my
Right.
proof of my check, my
Yeah.
canceled check.
Okay, I
I have to
guess the tap
submit that
runs
we
differently.
paid for it.
I don't know who's doing that, but I'd like to see a good example of that.
Okay, they previously certainly talked about managing your cash flow tap that way, that you put it in.
And suddenly we have an insight into how the federal government works.
That's right.
I've never done it that way, but
Just out of curiosity, like, what is sort of our float? I mean, I know that we have like all of these numbers that are constantly fluctuating, but do we have like minimum, we always keep $500,000 in the bank or something? I mean, like,
well, we do have money in the investment. I mean, if we needed to pull the investment money out and use that, and then when we
Right.
got reimbursed, put that back.
do we have like
I
a
would say
policy on that?
3
Like, making sure that we have a mid-X?
No, I think we just have to be
Super careful about
responsible.
it.
Not for our cash account, only for the fund balance.
Right, yeah, but I was just thinking for
But
the
not for
cash
the cash
account.
account. We
I
do
don't
not.
Is that something that is common, to have like a minimum amount available in cash at all times? Recommended, common?
I don't know, because if you can't, if it's timing issues and you can't do it, then
Right.
you're
Then you can't do
against
it.
your own policy.
And that's the whole reason we put a budget in place. That's the
Yeah.
reason we spend a lot of time detailing out the budget.
No, I get that, but like,
Right.
you
I'd
know,
say
we
like
can't spend the
3 to
whole
5.
budget in 1 month and then, you know.
I would
yeah.
say like 300,000 to 500,000.
Okay, interesting, okay. Thanks, just curious.
All right, you made a motion. Did we have a second, Martina?
I don't have a second.
Second?
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Yay.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Do you have any idea of when you'll break ground and what the timeline is?
So the next step is we have to wait for the state to sign the contract and give us a notice to proceed. We don't
Okay.
want to start spending money until we get that.
Okay.
So how long that's going to take? Don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, Eric?
I apologize. Just curious.
Okay. We're banging out grants, let me tell you. We're doing a great job.
It's stressful.
Yeah. You know, how far we've come in a couple of years to be able to get money has been really,
Yeah.
you know, kudos to all of us, but it does
Yep.
represent a different mode of operandi that we have to operate by, and, you know, so we do. So this is a new one, was not discussed at any of our planning meetings, Trustee Lewitt.
Okay,
So,
sometimes you get lucky.
sure. So let's talk about the Greenway Land Trail Grant.
Okay, so Steve Rosenberg and I have been working on a grant proposal that actually requires the cooperation of the Village of Rhinebeck, the Town of Rhinebeck, and the Town of Red Hook. Basically, there are 2 greenway trails that run through the village, the town, and the town of Red Hook. Those trails have been in existence for about 20 years. Some of the signs are missing, some of the signs have become washed out by the sun. And the Greenway is putting out money for the rehabilitation of their trails. Great. They are also putting money out to connect village centers with the newly designed Empire State Trail, which crosses the bridge and then goes north on River Road. And one of our Greenway trails actually runs contiguously with that. The B section of the trail runs contiguously with that. So the Hudson River Valley Greenway is looking to both do improvements and rehabilitation to their existing trails and do additional connection between village centers and the Empire State Trail. So Steve and I found this grant, and largely it is a 50-50 grant, so it's half the municipalities, half the granting agency. The good news is that our labor costs are offsettable against the grant. So
So the time the highway guys spend is
Hanging a sign.
hanging signs.
hanging signs, pulling in the signs, hanging the signs,
Counts towards that match.
largely offsets the cash situation. We have put together 2 proposals for your consideration, what we call the optimal proposal and then the adequate proposal. In the optimal proposal, the town of Rhinebeck, the village of Rhinebeck would each put up $6,000, and the town of Red Hook would put up $3,000. And this money would be to use first for contingency, and then also to create 2 map displays. One at the corner of River Road and 199, where people are crossing the trail, and one somewhere here in the village of Rhinebeck. So that would require a 6,000, 6,000, 3,000 match. If people feel like that's a little too much, we have a second proposal, which would require a $2,000 match from the village of Rhinebeck, the town of Rhinebeck, and $1,000 from the town of Red Hook. And that would simply fund the replacement and the rehabilitation of the signs and the replacement of old signs. So, a lot of moving pieces here. We would like to apply for the grant. It's only contingent upon the other municipalities also coming through with their funding. So if somebody doesn't come with their funding, or somebody only wants to fund the adequate option, then that's what we're gonna go with. And that's currently being discussed right now. It's going to be the next couple of board meetings that we're looking at. So I have a resolution here. I'm asking for the allocation of up to $6,000 from the capital parks and recreation budget, which we have about $52,000 in right now. And that would allow us to be our section of the grant and arrangement. Eventually, there will have to be MOAs between the villages and the town all together, so we all agree upon the roles. But that happens after the grant is awarded. So we have a whole bunch of moving parts here that we're trying to place in there. I actually have a resolution. I see it didn't make the group. I'm going to read it. What?
Yeah, it's not up there.
Okay, I should be. It didn't make it. Resolution. Whereas the Rhinebeck Red Hook Historic District Bike Hike Trails, RHT, were conceived more than 20 years ago with the funding from the Winnicke Land Trust and with cooperation from the towns of Red Hook and Rhinebeck. And whereas the RHT is part of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Trail System, and whereas the existing trail signage has decayed or disappeared, and importantly, the RHT now intersects with the newly constructed and increasingly popular Empire State Trail. And whereas the Hudson River Valley Greenway Conservancy is offering matching grants for the rehabilitation and improvement of existing greenway trails, and is expressly looking to connect village centers to the Empire State Trail. And whereas the grant requires the cooperation and financial support of the village of Rhinebeck, the town of Rhinebeck, and the town of Red Hook, the towns of Rhinebeck and Red Hook agree that the village of Rhinebeck will administer the grant on their behalf. And whereas the municipalities will contribute funds in the ratio of 2-to-1, representing the village of Rhinebeck, town of Rhinebeck, and Red Hook to realize the grant's goals. And whereas the municipalities pledge that their highway departments or equivalents will provide in-kind labor to realize the grant's goals. And whereas this action has been found to be a type 2 action under seeker. And whereas the grant submission is filed contingent upon the 3 municipalities entering into a memorandum of understanding upon the awarding of the grant. Now, therefore, the village of Rhinebeck authorizes the submission of a Greenway Land Trail grant to rehabilitate and improve the RHT and allocate up to $6,000 to be used as matching funds for purposes of the grant. Got that? Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what we talked about was the other municipalities needed to fund, since we're administrating the grant,
Right.
we're outlaying all the cash, they needed to pay us in advance.
Right. We'll make that part of the MOU.
That's not there.
It would be part of our MOU.
Yeah,
I mean, I can put it in there, but it would be part of the MOU.
Our discussion was it would be there.
Okay, I thought it was going to be part of the MOUs, that it would come from there.
Because I don't want to outlay the cash if, unless they're gonna pay us up front.
Right, okay, that's reasonable. But I would do that as part of the MOU process.
I think we can include that as part of the resolution,
Okay.
just out of sentence.
Okay. Let's see, where would we add it?
In the whereas, just out of whereas clause. I have a question.
Okay.
How did we reach the 2 to 2 to 1 funding,
That is based upon,
considering we are the smallest of these 3 entities?
The number of signs, right?
correct.
Number of signs, okay.
I have looked at every intersection that it covers, and because we have a lot of twists and turns inside the village, we have a lot of signs.
We
So
have a
this
lot of
is
signs, okay.
roughly the ratio of the signs, Village of Rhinebeck, Town of Rhinebeck, Town of Red Hook. I mean, it's like 39-41.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Right, it's that. So, but that's based upon the rough number of signs, or the number of signs that are actually,
Okay, that is helpful.
it seemed like the most equitable way to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
It does put more signage out. Right.
Yes.
Well, there's gonna be some that are removed, some that are replaced, and then some, the bikeway is inadequately signed at other places. It's missing signs.
Is
In
it the
the village.
same route
In the village.
that it was first? that
We
conceived
are
as?
going to make we'd like to make a slight modification, which is use the village municipal lot as a node. And right now, people are routed down East Market Street and then up Mulberry Street, all the way around down to the fairgrounds, make the left, cross Route 9, come back down south, and then go out Montgomery Street. So one of the issues with that is that it's not always available. And it doesn't actually touch the municipal parking lot. So what we decided to do is make a note at the municipal parking lot, head east here, go left or right at Center Street, left if you're going north, left on the Livingston, up Route 9, left across at Montgomery, which is similar to what if we're going out this way, basically we would make a right on Center Street, left on South, and then pick up the old route at South and South Parsonage.
Now you got me concerned that DOT won't agree.
I've had some preliminary conversations with it. It should be fine. I've talked to the bike coordinator of the, so we'll work on something else.
All right, so I think, and again, part of the resolution should be that we get agreement from DOT.
Well, we have to.
I agree.
Right. I mean, we're not gonna, okay. I mean, I don't know why if we don't get agreement from DOT, then we can't go forward with that part. But I've spoken to their bike coordinator. He's like, yeah, we'd like to do this.
I think just for clarity, for the sake of the public, I think sort of some of these like requirements before, money gets spent and signs go up need to be clear, because if signs don't go up, folks are gonna be like, well, what happened?
Where are the signs?
Where are the signs?
Right.
And, and if it's because we didn't get DOT approval, then like, we need to be able to point back to DOT approval was continuing this whole thing.
I want to be able to connect the village center to the Empire State Trail.
Right.
Yes.
That's a good thing. But I just want to make sure that all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed before we do that, that's all. Which DOT could be an obstacle.
Right. Well, we have an existing route that runs across there.
But now you're asking for a different route.
Right. But I mean, if I have to bail to the existing, I bail to the existing.
All I'm asking is that you get DOT approval, right? And that's not in what's there, that's all I'm asking.
Oh, so are you saying that if you don't get DOT approval, then we're gonna keep the route the same way that it currently is?
Rhinebeck and Red Hook could probably go forward, because they're not on Route 9. We're subject to Route 9 rules here.
Right, but it's already on.
They're not.
It's already on Route 9.
Different portion.
Right,
We're
so you
going-
would go back to the original.
Right, so what
Different
I'm
portion.
saying, if we don't get DOT approval for the new route, are you just gonna kick back to the old route?
We'd stick with the old route.
Okay, so we
Which
don't
they've already
actually,
approved.
so we don't actually
Right.
need
Which
DOT.
I'd already approved.
Well, it's a whole separate
You didn't
agreement.
say that.
I did.
Okay, so we don't actually need DOT approval for this to go through, we just need
No.
DOT approval for the new route to go through?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
Got it.
Can you
And-
then put that in the resolution so that's clear?
Lydia, you're the lawyer. How do you want to make that clear?
Oh my gosh.
Let's just make a motion to amend the resolution to include the approval of DOT for the change. If not, it will be reflected back to the old route.
Fine.
That's all I'm happy with.
You want to put
What
it?
was the other thing?
And then the other thing was the MOU shall include the other.
Upfront
the upfront-
contributions.
Yeah,
Right.
contributions.
Okay.
And then can you send me that?
Yes, I will make those changes and I will make those changes after this meeting, so I stop using words right now. And
There you go.
I'll send you that.
All right,
Yeah.
okay, we'll figure it out.
All right,
So what's your motion?
a lot of questions, sorry. All right,
So I would make a motion that we accept the resolution contingent upon the changes that Lydia is going to be making, showing that the,
In ideally half an hour.
right, ideally that the other municipalities will be paying the village of
I'm not
Rhinebeck
gonna write all that,
upfront.
so what's the next part?
Okay. And subsequent, what, DOT, I'm not sure what you're looking for there.
So the motion is to accept this resolution
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
drafted.
And the main
Okay.
point of the resolution is to allow up to $6,000 for what?
For the rehabilitation of signs
As part of a matching grant.
as part of the matching grant. It's coming from Capital Parks and Rec.
And applied to the Greenway folks.
Yeah.
Grant.
all right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Don't let me forget to do that.
Who seconded? Sorry.
I did.
Thank you.
Lydia. All right, so the next on the agenda, I talked a lot about our Center Street project going down front out here. As with all projects, sometimes you get change orders. We approved a change order at our last meeting for $13,000. We are now on change order number 2 for the Center Street project. And change order number 2 includes the drainage improvements, which is an 8-inch pipe and one precast concrete catch basin connection, and the connection to the existing catch basin, associated excavation and land and backfill, and then the catch basin repair. So to sum this all up, when we first started this project, we had a lot of concern about drainage,
Yeah.
right? And we decided to punt on the drainage, right, to be able to try to save some money, to be able to do it. The reality is going forward, we can't punt on this, adding a second catch basin, which was discussed initially and pulled from the grant application, and rehabilitating the existing. Bottom line is, as a result of the work going across, to connect these catch basins and have proper drainage on Center Street to avoid all of this puddling that goes down here,
Yeah.
we need to make these improvements.
Yeah.
All right, so we asked the contractor, Merit Construction, to come in with a proposal to be able to improve this drainage, which we were really thought that we needed to begin with.
Yeah.
And so the request is to do this is $33,116 to do all of that work for drainage improvement while they're here. They will do that now.
What is it, 33?
$33,116. That brings the total price of the contract up to $428,970. We were originally at $385,680 when we awarded it.
We budgeted over 600 for this whole project, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we gave
Yeah.
ourselves some contingency
Right.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're still,
We're also
I know.
balancing
With
that.
the sidewalk.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
right.
So we're getting close.
Hopefully
We're
we're
getting
going to
close.
do well, but I'd like to make a motion to accept change order number 2 from Merit Construction as approved by engineer Ty and Bond to reconstruct the drainage improvements and the catch basin repair.
Second.
Discussion?
I think before we get another change order, and hopefully we won't, but if we do get another change order, I think we need to do just kind of this is how much we budgeted for this project, this is where the sidewalks are, this is where this is, and just make sure that we're not creeping up too close to the number.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm all on board on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that we're still under, but,
There is a
Okay,
follow-up meeting with our engineer tomorrow, actually.
Right,
Great,
yes, we have a status meeting.
okay.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Me.
Lydia?
Yeah, is this part of sort of the 100-year storms becoming more like 5-year storms?
No, this is part of the fact that we had inadequate drainage to begin with.
Oh, great, okay.
I'm going to be very blunt.
This is an everyday storm, probably.
Okay.
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, okay.
Nature of it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried, all signed. Thank you. Vanessa, Village Hall, HVAC.
Yeah, just a quick update that the engineering firm that we're working with, ME Engineering, they're working away on the plan. And I just added some documents to the cloud that they passed to me when I had questions about, what are some of the savings associated with transitioning to these new technologies, and what are the incentives that we get through Central Hudson, through the utility. So I just wanted to get those up in the cloud for the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
We don't have to vote on anything?
No?
Okay. I'm not going to read all this. We're working very closely with Delaware Engineering on our wastewater and water upgrades. There's a status report that we were able to get from Delaware Engineering this week that basically gives us an update, and we're going forward, we're going to be getting more of these on a regular basis, to understand where we're at, whether we're at 40% completion, 50% completion, 60% completion, but I don't want to bore you with, unless you want me to, the updates, but it's out on the cloud for everybody to be able to read.
Is it?
Should be.
It's not under current projects.
It's not there,
If it was given to me.
It was given.
then we'll put it there,
Okay, great, yeah. Let's just make sure.
because it should be there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Because I don't have a copy with me because I thought it was on cloud.
Yeah.
All right, special requests.
Oh, also.
I need a copy of that sent to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll make sure,
Yeah.
I'll forward it to you now. Also, the zero interest loan, which is great.
Oh. Yes, so just so everybody's aware, on October 16th, we will be signing for a 5-year zero interest loan for our wastewater improvement project. It was just announced by Governor Hochul in the paper this week that the Village of Rhinebeck is a recipient of that 5-year zero interest loan. All right, so this is pending as we go forward. If we do get the grant money gets applied, so it's not like a duplication of things. We can roll everything back, they'll roll everything back forward because it's all managed through EFC. What happens with this grant, once we sign, the board already passed a resolution to approve the zero interest, so we don't need to pass and vote on that, that was already done. This is just for transparency that on October 16th, I will sign for that loan, and payments will begin in 2 years, and then at the end of 5 years, that loan converts to a long-term loan at whatever the EFC interest rates are at the end of that, either at the end of our project, if we complete earlier than 5 years, or at 5 years, we're done, it converts over to long-term.
That's new information.
Yes, it is.
So it's not actually free money in perpetuity, it's just
No.
free money for the first 5 years.
Free money for really 2 years,
Right.
and then you start making the payments on the amount you've spent.
So let's be careful with how much we spend there.
We will. But I just want to make sure
The
everybody's...
loan is for 5 million?
5.5.
5.5 million, sorry.
Up to.
Up to 5.5. We don't get the full 5.5 today and it comes into our bank account. You draw on the loan.
Oh, with current interest rates, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I know. You draw on the loan and you spend it, correct?
It's like all the rest of them.
Oh, it's like they've got us
We
figured
spend
out.
it first.
Right. And one more thing for Karen to manage.
Got it.
Okay? All right.
Thank you, Karen.
Any questions on that?
Nope. Just fun to have a report out of Delaware.
Yeah. Holiday tree lighting. So I'm going to take it a bridge here because we are scheduled to meet with the Holiday Tree Lighting Committee.
We
So-
are. So we just actually received the application today. A couple months ago, the board passed a resolution to form a committee to head up the holiday tree lighting. They submit their application today. Essentially, it would be November 18th from 4 to 6 p.m. They anticipate 75 to 100 people. I forwarded over to the police department, who's still reviewing it, so they have not given their sign-off quite yet. They're requesting loudspeakers, food vendors, extra police coverage. They are a non-for-profit organization now, so it's been turned over to them. I did also receive a village hall use application as well as a tent application because they're not quite sure where they want to set up their sensory safe space. So once we have our sit-down meeting, more details will follow. But essentially,
Should we punt on this then?
not really
Timing.
because it's in a month. So yes and no. If you want to accept the date and the essential idea of it, pending
Agreement
solidified
after
details.
meetings. Who's on the committee?
We don't know yet.
It's not really, so they've turned into an organization.
Oh, it's not like a
So-
member of the fire department and a member of this and a
No.
member
We're
of that.
going to be disbanding the committee that we formed.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to come in and say, this committee no longer exists,
wow.
right? Because
Which you
the
could
people
do.
who wanted to do it decided it'd be better for them to create a 501c3 so that they could raise funding and do all of that kind of stuff and not
Right.
be dependent.
Okay.
We're not, this is all happening in real time as Martine has just explained.
They just became a
Um,
non-for-profit within the last 2 weeks, and I just got the application today.
So now they've
Got it.
now
Okay.
submitted the 10 application, the village hall application, and whatever else.
To cover
The
it.
event.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, maybe we approve the date and the time and then say everything else is pending agreement amongst
Police.
police, fire, you,
Yeah.
Kyle.
Right. I would like to make a motion that you allow myself to set up a review meeting with the Holiday Review Committee, get the police review, get the fire review, get the hall review, and understand what all the expectations and dates are. And if you're comfortable with myself, DPW, police, and fire review, approving that, to approve the date.
I can second that. I'm deeply uncomfortable with loudspeakers, pending sort of how noisy they will be. I'm still suffering a little from the fair. And I think we need to be careful when and how we allow loudspeakers at events, because there is a house near a loudspeaker no matter where it is. So
What are the hours again?
4 to 6. Hours of estimated peak attendance is 4 to 6.
Event time 1 to 6.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
1 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
Set up
right.
the tear down.
And additionally, this is all
2
taking
to
place in
6.
the municipal lot, which
Right, which has.
I don't have a defined space
Right.
within the municipal lot.
Right.
Last year, it was in between the Doughboy and the first row.
Oh, right. Okay. So if you are willing to channel your inner Lydia about the loudspeakers, then I'll vote to approve.
Unless you plan to have some type of special meetings between now and the next board meeting to re-review this, because there's a
Up to you
lot
guys.
of
If
unknowns.
you trust us to move forward with it,
I
I'm okay with
trust
it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep it
All right. I
simple.
mean, the holiday tree lighting is an event that trying to regenerate itself,
Yeah.
trying to come back to make it more of the festive atmosphere that it used to be. So there's merit in trying to do that,
Totally.
but we have to make sure that our facilities are available to handle it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do I have a second?
I think Lydia did.
Second. Any other discussion?
So are you approving the event application though, contingent upon?
Pending the review and a meeting with the holiday committee,
Hallway tree cutting.
holiday tree committee,
We'll call
and
them a committee.
approval by police and DPW.
Oh, should we also disband?
I would disband your committee and then, yes.
You want to do that now?
Why
Yes,
not?
please.
they're officially a 501c3.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to disband the Village of Rhinebeck Holiday Tree Committee.
Second. Rick can have that one.
Who did the other one?
Leah?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we're going to vote on the application.
All right. We already did a first and a second. I'd like to make, all in favor of approving the Holiday Tree Committee application as submitted, pending the reviews with DPW, police, and myself, and the committee. Right.
They're a nonprofit, not a committee.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm still calling myself a committee, I guess.
It's gonna be confusing.
Right.
What's their?
Well, actually, it's Rhinebeck Hometown Holiday Tree Lighting.
Inc.
There you go.
With the Rhinebeck Hometown Holiday Tree Lighting, Inc.
Inc.
Right.
Second. We get that right?
No, we're voting now.
Okay.
All right.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, God. Okay. You'll make it. Bonvoy or peddler's permit?
Next one I pulled up is
What in order?
Photo shoot.
Photo shooting.
pulled up the wrong one. Hang on. This is from Marriott Hotels to hold a photo shoot on October 11th, which is tomorrow.
Oh.
We would like to have the photographer take still shots with a still camera around Montgomery Street to get a sense of the town.
It's not quite a photo shoot, they just wanted to cross all the T's, dot their I's.
Yeah.
Their original application included a drone, which the police were okay with, but they have since rescinded that. So
Yeah.
it's literally somebody just going around and taking pictures with a camera.
Okay.
And typically they could do this without asking.
Correct.
I'm glad that they asked.
And I was about to say, I was like,
Right. I'd like to make a motion to approve Marriott Hotels to do a photo shoot tomorrow on Montgomery Street.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The last one is People's Place fundraising application. So People's Place, I'm sure everybody's aware of People's Place and what they do. People's Place, which is a non-for-profit, and they purchase free meals and groceries for a lot of people, consisting of volunteers. What they would like to do is to have a fundraiser in the parking lot next to the...
No,
It's in the bank parking lot.
Right.
no, she
No.
wants it.
Near Cheese Louise. How about that?
The way she explained it to me was out in front of the liquor store, wherever the municipal space is over there, not in the Rhinebeck Savings Bank lot and
But
not.
on the sidewalk.
Correct.
There's not enough space
Where the
there.
benches.
There is a lot of space there.
Oh, where the bench is?
There's a bench there. Yeah.
Okay. She just needs to make sure that she has at least 5 feet of clearance
Right.
for the sidewalk.
Actually, the sidewalk is
But
quite
they had the
over there.
pumpkin sale recently.
That's right, that's where the Boy Scouts.
Oh, got it. So like in between, but like closer to the sidewalk. Okay, sorry. I was just imagining it right in front of the
And,
liquor store.
it's for October 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'd like to make a motion to approve the People's Place ability to do their fundraising and tabling.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next, it's just we've talked about this before, just to remind everybody, we are the recipients of an $85,000 grant from New York State to be able to purchase Meridian barricades. And we filled out all the application and all the paperwork, everything's submitted. We're waiting right now for DASNY to come forward and say check, which is the next check mark in the block, before we can make the purchase. Once DASNY makes the purchase, we will proceed and then get payment reimbursement 4 weeks after that. Just so everybody's aware, this will not happen in time for Porch Fest. It will not happen in time for Santa Claus. So these will be used after these events going forward. Currently, we're not planning to use any of these barricades for Porch Fest. We're using water filled. And for Santa Claus has agreed to fund us for the rental of the Meridian barricades for that event. All right? So the time, just so you know the timing, it's
It's after all this, right?
after all of that.
Was there supposed to be some documentation on this?
We really don't have, we have.
Okay, it's just going out for it and,
Right.
right,
Well, we've got a letter of approval.
okay.
We have a letter of approval. I should have put that up. My apologies for not doing that.
That's okay.
But we do have a letter of approval authorizing us to be approved for the grant.
Okay, clear,
And-
that goes out.
And Martina and I have filled out all the required paperwork and submitted.
Okay.
All right, next is, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for, I'll do this one at a time, minutes for September 12th, 2023.
Pending my edits, second.
They're already done.
Great.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes for September 26th, 2023.
Did you have edits, Archie?
I was not at that meeting, I have to abstain.
Right.
Neither was I.
Okay. I made the motion. One of you two got it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I abstain.
Minutes for October 4th, 2023.
That was one last week.
That was just one last.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Rick, do you want to talk about tree commission?
Sure, the tree commission will just quickly received applications for pruning and removals at 49 South Street, 26 South Street, 14 Livingston Street, 2123 Livingston Street. The tree commission recommends that the applications be approved with the standard clause that the work is done by a certified arborist. So I'd like to make a motion that the village board approves the tree commission's recommendations for 49 South Street, 26 South Street, 14 Livingston Street, 2123 Livingston Street.
It's nice that they're all on the hazardous tree list.
Are they all removals or are they prunings?
They are removals.
Second.
All right, so my only comment is the comment that they made that trees are again still being removed prior to approval.
Right. This is,
How do we get a handle on this?
Dave should know better.
we've sent letters to all of the arborists in the area. We've contacted them. We've also, we're about to put out another letter that says, if you make removal, you are supposed to at least notify us within 2 weeks that you've made the removal. So we're pushing on it. We're definitely trying to communicate with these guys, but
Are these all the ones that are following up from the letters that the tree commission sent?
some actually came in before. All of these are on the hazardous tree list, but some of them came in before we even sent a letter.
Because some of the people who were sent a letter have not filled out an application because they were sent a letter to have their trees.
Right, and we'll be following up, the commission will be following up with them.
Right, okay, all right.
It's just that we have no teeth here.
We don't.
We know. And it's been a struggle for years.
Is this something that we can we amend our law to have teeth to it?
Yes.
Do you really want to get into finding people for that?
I don't know. Do we really want to get into it? Like, I mean,
If to remove a tree that we haven't approved, and it's a street tree, yes.
I mean, it seems like the tree commission would be, you know,
Upset about that.
upset about
And the
it.
tree commission is very upset about it. We've been trying to work through the local companies to get them to understand what the compliance.
Well, the minute we find one of them, it'll stop.
There's nothing in our code right now.
There's nothing, no, there's nothing in our code that fines or requires anybody to do that.
Can you just follow up if we can create a policy, or we have to amend a code, or what we have to do,
Okay,
and come back and let us know?
sure,
This happens all the time.
yes. No, it's to the immense frustration of the tree commission members, and that's where the whole letter writing and contacting campaign began. So it really started over the summer.
Okay. I'd like to see what we can do, if you could work on
Okay.
that.
I'm surprised at your appetite for financial, for fines.
I want to hear what, I want to hear what. we
Well, I mean,
can
there's
do.
no point in having the law if there's no way to enforce it. So like, there's also that. Like, at the moment, we have a law on our books that there's no way to enforce.
Correct.
And that's a circular, unnecessary argument. So
And
at the
this-
moment, we're expecting people to follow the law out of the goodness of their heart, not because it's like most laws have a punishment if you break them. So otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise, it's just asking people to follow the rules. So like,
That's where it's been since the law was passed.
I get that, but like,
And this is a situation where the tree commission actually tracks this stuff. So
Yeah.
we
Yes, we
have a
do.
mechanism for being
Right.
on top
Yes,
of
we do.
it.
yeah. So if we're gonna
I
have a
will-
law about it, I think we should have a way to enforce that law.
Okay,
Whether it's a fine, whether it's like, I don't know, like, let's
Okay.
figure out the options.
cool. You've just made a lot of tree commissioners very happy.
Well, let's wait to see, let's come back with something. Okay?
Sure.
I mostly made my legal brain that likes to have things
Right.
circular happy, but I'm
Gotcha.
glad that it also might make the tree
Make sure
commission
you're
members
very
happy.
We have to vote.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
you're done. You did it.
We did.
I second the removal.
It's already done.
Sorry, did we already
All
vote?
right, all in favor, say
You
aye.
already voted.
At least you're on top of things.
Do it twice, yeah, right. Do it twice.
Vanessa, climate smart.
So we had our EV campaign kickoff with our event on the 30th. Thanks for those folks who came down. We had like a really amazing lineup of all these electric vehicles and hybrids. And I think we had probably close to 20 different vehicles. It was awesome, and people were giving each other test rides, and Rugies was there with 4 models. It was really a wonderful event, and but the campaign continues, so if anybody purchases an EV or plug-in hybrid between the dates of August 25th to the end of the year, December 31st, please let me know so I can add you to the list. If we can get 5 people to make a purchase, then we get a $5,000 grant from NYSERDA. If we get 10 people to make a purchase, we get $10,000, and that money would be used towards other climate projects. No matching required, so please, if
We
you're
just
thinking
get a check?
matching, yeah, we literally just get a check.
Wow.
Which is very rare in local government. So, yeah, so thanks to everybody for, spreading the word to your neighbor. If anybody's thinking about making a purchase, now would be a good time. Yeah, the other update I wanted to give is that we've been working away on our climate action plan and kind of forecasting what's it going to take to actually reduce our emissions in the village for government operations. And, the goal here that everybody in the climate change world is looking at is 2030. What are we going to do by 2030? New York State's goal is 40% reduction in CO2 emissions by 2030. And so we have a lot of work to do. And it's pretty eye-opening seeing what it will take. So I would like to have some meetings with you and talk about departments and talk about your ideas for how we can reduce emissions. And we've got ideas as well. So I think I would even like to, I would like to have those conversations in the next couple weeks. So I'll reach you now.
So, I mean, one thing right off the bat, I know that some municipalities and other organizations are installing a lot more EV chargers to help do this, to help meet the goal. In fact, some organizations are being mandated to do it. Schools and so forth are coming under more mandates.
Right, yeah.
What is our appetite to put more EV chargers in?
Well, for this particular project, we're just talking about government operations. So we're looking at cleaning up our own house first, and then we'll be working with the larger community. But that is a question that I have, is if we're going to transition our fleet, maybe not heavy-duty dump trucks and tractors, but certainly, as more models for pickup trucks become available, we'll need to convert the village fleet. And so that means having EV chargers available.
That's the water department, at the wastewater department.
Yeah.
More here, yeah, the highway.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is about making a plan, looking at, what we have for our fleet and phasing this in. And there's grant money available through New York State, but they like to see that you've done your homework and that you have that plan. So that's why we're,
Does the HVAC system in here make a demonstrable difference?
yes.
Okay.
The HVAC, getting rid of the oil furnace in the basement
And,
is like the number one
Installation.
thing,
okay,
as a one heavy hitter project.
okay.
The other thing I've been really looking at is the energy consumption for water and wastewater plants.
Mhm.
And especially with water treatment plant, if we update those processes, I would really like to know what percentage decrease we could expect on our electricity bill from updating equipment that's more efficient.
Good question.
Yeah,
We would all like to know.
we should talk to all
Yeah.
about that.
So we're going to find out more about that in the near future.
Right, because that's the number one energy hog.
Lydia, comprehensive plan?
So the comprehensive plan continues to do its work. They're like so close to having a draft. And they're meeting this Thursday, if you're interested in coming to the meeting. That's where they are. All of the minutes from, all the approved minutes are up on the website. So that's underway. Maria, Mr. Amini, I just wanted to let you know that the ZBA draft minutes are all complete. They've just been waiting for the ZBA to actually meet to approve them. But given that you have an accelerated interest in having the minutes complete, I'll work with legal tomorrow to figure out a way to get you a copy of the minutes from June in advance of their next meeting, because we're not sure when they're meeting again.
That would be appreciated, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So not comp plan committee, but, you know, building, planning, and zoning. I'm investigating, thanks to you, thanks to your notification, a potential $20,000 grant from the county to help with the work of the comp plan. And otherwise, we're good there.
Moving forward.
Moving forward, we are going to be looking for graphic designers at some point, so I'll be asking Vanessa, because I feel like Vanessa has her thumb on all the graphic designers in the village.
Catherine.
But she's about to have a baby.
Right.
So if anybody is curious about helping the comp plan with graphic design, please let me know.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the vacation buyout for employee number 31 for 25 hours. This has gone through Karen and approved, so
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 7:54.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all for your indulgence. Lauren, sorry we kept you awake.
I was awake the whole time.